Well, hi there guys, this is Chris at Models, MyFactory62, etc. This is video 4 of the Revell Victor B1 conversion. So that's an attempt to convert the K2, the Mark II tanker version, into the original B1 bomber, or an approximation of. This is going to be a painting video. It's the first painting video. Like I say, it's video 4. Just basically laying on some thin priming coats on the separate sub-assemblies, or the main sections of the aircraft, which are all now glued together. Which, by that I mean the tail fins, the fuselage, and the wing sections. Now for this painting, basically got two brushes here. This is the one we're going to use today, which I've used on, quite a few other videos by now. This is a size 12 flat, and that's going to be used to smoothly and quickly, but not too quickly, smoothly paint on the first layer of primer. This flat, just a slightly better quality brush. It's a lovely broad flat head there. This is a size 10. This is what I'll use for the final coats, probably the whites or possibly the grey preceding. I haven't decided whether to use a grey on this in the priming process yet. But anyway, so I'm not using that now, but that's for another time on the next video. Also mixed up some nice acrylic, some artist black there, just the general artist acrylics that you can buy from most art shops. And what I've done, I've diluted it a very small amount, so you've still got a reasonably thick consistency, but not too thick. It's got to go on. It's a bit thicker than a watercolour, really. And to that I've also added a small amount of clear. Now what the clear does, it seems to diminish any extra brush strokes. It keeps the visible brush marks down, at least I've noticed that, and it also seems to keep the paint flowing in a much better fashion. It doesn't seem to sort of all pool out in a sort of watery fashion like you tend to get if you only just use water. But I would experiment with that and see what works for you, really, because it can be a bit tricky getting it right. That's just the water to keep our brushes clean. So I've already had a go at the tail piece here. That's just, like I say, that's going to be the first coat. The second coat will be, give it a smoother finish. You won't really see many brush marks by the time the proper second coat is on there. But anyway, so what we're going to do is get yourself and basically get into a state of certainty, and you want to be brushing the way the airflow goes. So make sure you've mixed your paint and you've got enough that you don't have to start remixing a new lot, because then you're going to have a slightly different tonal colour or a thickness, a consistency of the paint. So get your focus, get a little bit on your brush, not too much. You don't want a lot. Never need too much. It's like that old adage of a little goes a long way. And then just basically start smoothly painting it on there, across the wing like that. It's just practice, like anything. It doesn't matter if you think the layer's too thin. If you think the layer that you've painted on is too thin, being acrylic, just make sure you've got the any congealed paint or lumps of paint out of the way, and then just paint over another layer on, just adding thinly. That's all you really have to do. Like I say, it's acrylic paint, as most of us modelers use now. It saves us breathing in those nasty enamel fumes, and the advantage of acrylic, apart from its vast range of colours, is the fact that it dries quickly. Although the fact that it dries quickly can also be a problem. You've got to decide what you're doing. You know, often there's not a lot of leeway for mistakes once the model's in a fairly advanced stage. You've got to kind of know what you're doing, he says. So we're going to basically do this across the whole surface of the wings and the fuselages. You can also see that it's revealed the rescribing lines there, but all so you can actually see which, if you gouge them out too much or there's been slips, this black paint will show it, and then you can slightly fill those and remedy it later. But to get rid of the visible lines now, all you've got to do is just go across it like that. Just dig the brush in a bit, only over the wet paint, not where it's dried. So because you've got all these nasty brush strokes then, which is fine for painting but not for a model really. Then go back over the airflow pattern, or airflow strokes rather, and then just smooth them out again. And as you can see there, you filled your panel lines in. And of course the other thing is, you don't want the paint too thick for the panel lines, because then when the model's finished and you complete your final washes over it, you're not going to get, well, you're not really going to see much of the panel line detail because you've filled too much in. So just be on guard about that, guys, that you don't, use thick paint to fill it all in and make a pig's ear of it before you've had a chance to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, as they say. He says, attacking the camera lens with a paintbrush. There's enthusiasm, and then there's just sheer vandalism, folks. So again, I'm going to go across just to fill in these panel lines, because obviously you don't want, the model's not going to look like that. It's going to look, we don't want it to look harsh. We want the model to look toned, the paint to look toned, we don't want a harsh look to it all. That's what we don't want. Which is, the great thing about airbrushes is you get these wonderful tones using an airbrush, but I'm not using an airbrush. I'm using the time-honoured twig with some little filaments dangling off the end, some little bristles. Okay, so that's an improvement there. So we're going to basically go on and do the whole model like this until I've got the result I want. Like I say, smoothly and quickly, swift and smooth. And you'll get a decent result. Practice makes perfect and all that. Say when it's dry, if you've got too many thick marks, you can just gently sand them off and then reapply the paint. So there we have it, glistening away in this cold October light. Winter's kicking in now, guys. Before we know it, going to have some snow. So what better time of year to be hunkered down, if you can, and get on with the spot of painting or modelling. Painting and modelling, or gluing. So this more or less concludes this video. There's going to be a part 2. There is a part 2 to it. So thanks for watching. And then I'll see you on the next video, the main second video of the painting. which will be, I think, video 5 eventually, or video 6. Probably be video 6 by then. But like I say, don't be too gingerly with the brush. Don't be scared of the brush. Just keep it moving. Gotta keep it moving, guys. That way you will get a nice finish. Okay, well that definitely does conclude this video now, because I think I've run out of things to paint until this is dry. Mind you, like I say, being acrylic, it won't take long to dry, and then we'll just reverse it and onto the other side. So then we'll have more of a uniform look for the whole aircraft, and then I can glue these parts on. And once I've got a base colour down, I'll probably clear coat over that and then give it another layer of priming over it. So, once again, he rambles, putting down his trusty brush. I will see you all on the next video. Happy modelling, and stay safe. Bye for now, guys.